Hey guys, what's going on? This is your old pal CHH. So we just saw the newest VHS film, VHS Halloween. It's pretty interesting. Now, when they announced this, I thought to myself, well, that's actually the next logical step. I gotta give them credit. I think they pulled out of the yearly thing at the right time. They did, I think, 3 of them. And I think, what were they? They were 94, 99, and 85. And then it's pretty interesting. After that, they kind of surprised us with VHS Beyond, which I hated 85, and I was like, if VHS Beyond just tanks for me, I'm gonna check out, because I was like, this series has run its course. But they won me with Beyond big time. I really liked it, and so I was pretty excited when they announced this. And honestly, it's one of those ideas that when you hear it, VHS Halloween, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Of course they did that. They probably should have done that already. So let's get into it. As you guys know, with my reviews, I like to kind of just say whether I liked it or not right out front. And the answer to that is, overall, yeah. Now, here's the thing. I'm not in love with this movie. I'm just not. And I really don't think it's because the series has run its course. I really think that sometimes the stories and the way they do these can be thrilling and super exhilarating. And other times they're kind of just charming and decent. And, you know, there's really nothing wrong with that as well. I just found VHS Halloween to be just that, charming and decent. And maybe that's just as well with the theme. It doesn't really give that insane factor that like a VHS Beyond did with alien abductions and, you know, people skydiving and getting abducted by aliens or attacked by aliens while they're skydiving. This is a different kind. This one's really more about the chills and thrills and the spooky atmosphere. One of the interesting things about this, and what I think is probably the best part, it's something that kind of reminds me of Return of the Living Dead 3, and this is what's going to be kind of the wraparound segments, basically between each individual story. We go back to this. There's these technicians behind a glass that are having these people drink this soda. I believe it's called Diet Phantasma, which obviously seems like it's a play on Phantasm. I thought it was pretty funny. So the first guy takes a sip of this drink, and before you know it, his head's exploding. He's going mad, like almost like a zombie. I almost wonder if it was inspired by Return of the Living Dead 3, because it seemed pretty derivative. Not necessarily in a bad way, but you could definitely, it'll remind you of Return of the Living Dead 3. So the first segment is definitely a pretty cool one. You know, it's obviously Halloween night, and there's this group of friends out and about, and before you know it, they see this creepy old house in the woods. Of course, because it's Halloween night, these kids are going to go up in this house. Visually, there's some pretty crazy stuff that goes on in this. You know, there's this one part where, you know, the girl holding the camera sees like the big naked dude who's presenting like a baby and freaking out. It reminded me of those scenes in House of a Thousand Corpses where you see all of Dr. Satan's mental patients where they're just kind of, they're out of it. They don't have any brain power anymore. It reminded me of something like that. All the pictures in the house are really creepy. The atmosphere is set up pretty well in that one, and I found that one to be pretty damn fun. I think that one's called Coochie Coochie Coo or something like that. It has a pretty creepy ending, and when I watched that segment, I was like, oh, this is great, but I do hope we hit a higher plateau. Now, looking back, I think maybe we didn't really hit a higher plateau than that one, but like I said, didn't have any cliff divers in this one. And like I said, between these, we go back to the Diet Phantasma, which, honestly, that was the stuff I started to say, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next with that. So I think the real standout for me is the wraparound segments, I should say that, with the Diet Phantasma scenes. They're pretty cool, and they're nice and condensed. You know, you just get these people in there, they start drinking it, they talk for a little bit back and forth with the technicians, and then all hell breaks loose behind the glass. It's pretty cool, and it definitely looks very, very vintage, late 80s, early 90s. So the next segment was basically another group of trick-or-treaters going to a place they shouldn't go, and this one was in Spanish. So it was subtitled, which doesn't bother me. That's fine. And I think this one was called Utsupra Sik Infra, I think is how you say it. And that one was directed by Paco Plaza. And this one revolves around this room with this phone that's not connected to anything but rings, and it basically ruins one of these kids in the room. He starts convulsing and having all these just really crazy spurts. He looks like he's getting possessed. Visually had some pretty cool stuff to it, but I can't say that I enjoyed this one that much. Just, you kind of saw where it was going, and then I didn't find anything crazy really happening in this or taking any crazy turns that I wasn't expecting. I kind of just saw it for what it was. Wasn't bad, but you know, wasn't my favorite. This one I thought was pretty quirky, and honestly, this one felt more like a creep show TV episode that would have been like on Shudder. And I think it could have been stretched out a little bit longer to be one. You got this group of kids that are trick-or-treating. I should say kids. They're probably early 20s. And they go trick-or-treating. Now, this one couple actually does something pretty funny where they're like, hey, we're the found footage couple that somehow don't lose their cameras when they're running away from monsters. So their cameras are attached to them. And they find this candy bowl outside in the front porch. But all the names of the candies are really weird names, and this one kid takes a bite of one, and it looks extremely phallic, and when he bites into it, yeah, you kind of know what it is supposed to be when it's this gooey white stuff coming out. But anyway, he gets sucked into the candy bowl, and below the candy bowl, you don't see anything. It's just this table. And then we see what world lies underneath that candy bowl, and boy, is it hellish. And, you know, that one was pretty entertaining. It definitely had some Five Nights at Freddy vibes to it, but I really liked the pace of it. It was very frantic and gory, and I wasn't expecting this, and I have no problem with this because I feel like it would be hypocritical if I said I had a problem with seeing naked adult females in horror films, but you're going to get some cock and balls. Like, straight up, you're going to get it right in camera, and you're going to see them chopped off. So this one, I think, would be the standout if I had to give it to one. You know, I would put it pretty on par with the first story with the haunted house, kind of creepy house vibes. But I like the energy of this one a little bit more. So again, we're pretty much even keeled here. I don't think there's any pits in this so far. But that one I enjoyed. So the next one was definitely the darkest segment. It was called Kid Print. About this guy who does this thing called Kid ID videos, and he makes sure that he tries to do this as much as possible because kids are disappearing in this town. That way they have some sort of footprint for all these kids to be able to be identified easily. And, you know, before you know it, you know, we started to see some alternative videotapes that go on with this, and some of them that are pretty sinister. I don't want to spoil this one, but I actually liked the twists and turns of this, and the payoff was remarkable. It did feel like it dragged a little bit for me, honestly, especially in the beginning parts of it. I mean, you get the gist of what's going on, but I felt like this one could have been trimmed down a little bit. And as a matter of fact, this whole movie was damn near 2 hours, too, so this was a longer VHS film. But overall, this one was the most daring and dark-natured in terms of storytelling, but I felt it needed a little bit tighter editing. But I won't spoil much about this one. Definitely brace yourself when you get to it, because it's definitely the darkest out of all the segments. Certainly the most Halloween-y, and I would say the most fun, is the home haunt segment. You know, it's this dad and son that had this little, you named it, a home haunt, and there's all kinds of really cool Halloween type things in this, decorations, costumes, and we even get a little bit of Rick Baker in this with a fun cameo, and boy was he funny in this. Who doesn't love Rick Baker anyway? So that was great seeing him in this. And there's this really cool record that the guy gets in the beginning of it that has really cool artwork on it. I hope somehow they can make this something available online, because I would like to own it just for that, the artwork alone that the thing had, which was really, really cool. And I think in a lot of ways, this one was the most entertaining, and it was cut perfectly, nice and tight. This one never dragged, and had some really cool payoff scenes at the end that were extremely entertaining and visually fun. And that was the ending one, which was probably good because we're coming off the heels of one that was pretty dark. So the balance of VHS Halloween I thought was pretty good. Of course, we go back to our Diet Phantasma stuff to wrap everything up. But when I got done with VHS Halloween, overall, I just kind of got the sense that it was okay. Like, I liked it, but I wasn't floored by it. There wasn't a segment that really was like, oh my god, I'm going to remember that one big time. I thought overall it was just a good VHS film that I think definitely justifies its existence, and also leads me happy to see more come. I think it is cool that we're mixing two subgenres with found footage and anthology together, and we're still keeping a good interest to it. Now we could do something like a VHS Christmas or a VHS Easter. You know, we'll see what happens next. But I did enjoy it, and I will pick it up, and I will check it out again. But I do think that there are a number of VHS films that still eclipse this one. So overall, I guess I'm happy because I liked it. I just didn't love it. Thankfully, I didn't hate it or anything, because that broke my heart when I didn't like 85. Maybe some of you like 85, I don't know. But we're going to leave it there for now, guys. Please let me know what you guys think about VHS Halloween down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to y'all next time. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.